My topic today is transpersonal hypnosis. Transpersonal hypnosis. How many of you have been to a place for the first time? You've never been there before, but it seems familiar. Or you meet someone new. You've never met this person before, but you seem to know all about them. How many of you have had somebody who died come back and talk to you or communicate with you? Raise your hands. I was speaking to a group of people at Leisure World, and I asked that question, and I was talking about hypnosis actually, and then I said, how many of you knew something was going to happen before, and how many of you then had somebody contact you from the other side? And half of them raised their hand. And one lady said, why is it that half of us in this room of hundreds of people have had this experience and we never talk about it? How many of you feel like you have met an angel or a spirit guide or talked directly to God? How many of you have had that spirit guide or angel or God speak back to you in a give and take situation? That's what I'm going to talk about today. And I have an agenda. My agenda is that when I'm done, you are going to remember who you really are. Oh, I know you know who you are, kinda. You know, it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland. She meets the caterpillar, you know, he's smoking the hookah. And he goes, who are you? And she says, well, I don't know. I've been many people since I woke up this morning. And of course, every one of you are many, many people. You're naughty, and you're not naughty, and you're funny, and you're serious, and you're curious, and you're not curious, and you're smart, and you're a little stupid. We're all that way. We can't help it. As a matter of fact, I think what a hypnotist does for a living is they wake us up from the stupid self and put us into the smart self. That's what we do for a living. So, by the way, you're all hypnotists? Raise your hand if you're a hypnotist. Raise your hand if you're not a hypnotist. Raise your hand if you're hip and knows something. There you go. There you go. So we're all kind of hip and we all know something. So this is a time to explore that you. So we'll begin by just an acknowledgement. Will the most important person in the room please rise up? Yes! Yes! Everybody tap your thymus. I'm the most important person in this room. I'm the center of my universe. And you're the center of your universe. And I gnosis everything. About me. Terrific. Take a deep breath. And let it out. Art therapy, little kids drawing a picture. Drawing a picture. I say, what are you drawing? He says, I'm drawing a picture of God. Nobody knows what God looks like. They will when I'm done. You see, maybe you are God or goddess. Or maybe you're the channel of God, goddess. How many of you have had a client in your office or even a friend who suddenly is in an altered state that is of profound significance? Raise your hand. And how many of you have been in an altered state that was profoundly significant? You see, when somebody comes to see you for hypnosis or a friend for advice, they really are asking you to help them feel terrific. Now, when Ruben talked about stand, that was kind of cool. And I was thinking to myself, what are we standing up for? What is the most important person in the room standing up for? I think we're standing up to tickle the feet of God and Goddess. And I think they're coming to see you to tickle the feet of the God and Goddess that goes through them, that grounds them to the earth and makes them beautiful. And I think every one of you sees the beauty in others, or you wouldn't be in this profession. But some of you may have forgotten the beauty inside you. And that's what I'm here to talk about. And I think it's pretty important. We're going to start out by taking a pencil and paper out, please. And we're going to talk about trees. And so you've got your pencil and paper out. Does everybody have a pencil and paper? I've got paper in the back if you need it. Okay, good. Draw a tree. This is not an art class. This is you drawing a tree. There you go. Please remember to breathe. If you don't breathe, you might keel over and this won't be as fun. All right, when you're done drawing your tree, I know this is not a long-term project, just look up and let me know that you're kind of done with your tree. Now, in art therapy, when you draw something, you interpret it. So let's look at your tree. Look at your tree carefully. And there's different ways to look at the tree. Look at the bottom of the tree. Are there roots? Is it floating around? Is it on the ground? Some people say that the bottom of the tree might be your foundation, your solidness, your feeling grounded. Ask yourself, what does your bottom of the tree tell you about yourself? Just notice. You're making up a story, but that's okay because everything in your life is a story you made up anyway. Okay, now let's look at the trunk of the tree. Now the trunk of the tree is interesting. It's very, very interesting because the trunk of the tree could be a timeline from when you were born to now, the top of the tree. So if that trunk of the tree is a timeline, notice if there's any variations in the line that might be a defining moment for you. If there's a knothole or something interesting in the middle. And think about it maybe from the time you were born to now and see if there's anything in that trunk that might represent you on the timeline of your life. Anybody got something like that? Raise your hand if yeah, somebody had that. Good. And now go to the branches or the top of the tree. That might represent where you are now, your creativity, your innovation. It might be something like that. Now go ahead and show your tree to the people next to you. Okay, take a deep breath, everyone. Let it out. Did that tree represent you in some way? Yeah. And how about your neighbor's tree? They said it kind of represented them. It's kind of interesting. All right, so you drew a tree. Now we're going to talk about a tree from another point of view. And this is interesting because I came to this idea, I was at a party, and I met a woman who was 100 years old. And I said to her, so you're 100 years old. Wow. How do I know you're 100 years old? She said, well, and she went like this, and she showed me her belly button. She said, count the rings around my belly button. So it made me think. And thinking is a dangerous thing. If I were a tree, but I was a cross-section of a tree, what would that be like? Well, what's at my core? And I'm going to ask you that question. If you were a tree, and let's say you came to this planet with something that was filled with gifts, with a life's purpose, with a path, with a wisdom, with a knowledge. Let's say you came here as a perfect human being, which I reckon you did. Perhaps that would be the core of you. So let's think about it for a minute. Close your eyes. And let's think about the essence of you, the core of you. Take a deep breath. When you boil yourself down to the essential self, what is most important about you? We could start with something very fundamental. This puts the fun back into mental. We'll start with this idea. You, ladies and gentlemen, are the sperm that made it. Now let's think about how important that is, because a long time ago, and I'm talking about a really long time ago, you were a little pink egg and you were in your mother's ovary. And that little egg, that little pink egg that was you in your mother's ovary was born when she was born. Because a woman is born with all of her eggs in her baskets. That means you, the little pink egg, that perfect little orb, the biggest cell in the human body, by the way, that human egg, is sitting there in your mother the moment of her birth, in her ovary. That means you, the egg, this beautiful creature of creation, traveled through your mother's entire life with her, so you know all about your mother from the point of view of the egg. Now that something amazing happened one day, one amazing, miraculous day in your existence, you went down that long, lonesome highway, the fallopian tube. And when you came down to the bottom of that fallopian tube, you were greeted by 100 little spermies, the smallest cell in the human body. Now, those 100 sperms, they're kind of miraculous because they don't follow directions like most males. Most of them got lost on the way or died. 100 of them are surrounding you. They're holding a box of candy and flowers. They're saying, as any male would say, "Choose me!" And you did something miraculous. In that very moment, you looked at the sea of males courting you, and you said, "I choose you." Because, ladies and gentlemen, the egg chooses its sperm to be itself. That was your first act of free will. You see, you are imbued with free will. Or that's how I conceive it. And that's maybe how you conceive it. So when that sperm entered you, the egg, you did an amazing thing. You suddenly burst into creation. You created yourself. You created millions and millions and millions and millions of cells and made a perfect fetus. Now, if that's not a miracle, I don't know what is. You also did an interesting other act. At that very moment when you chose your sperm to be yourself, you murdered 99 other sperms. They died from lack of love alone. At the moment that you burst into that formation of fetal being, you were making decisions. Take a deep breath and absorb that. That's a miracle. Now, the next moment, you got outside of that womb without a view. Now, a lot of things might have happened along the way, depending on what your mother ate and drank, smoked, whatever. But there you were, you got born, and then you had to do something most important. This has been one of the most critical things you've ever done. You had to figure out how to please the big lady with the milk. Because folks, if you don't please the big lady with the milk, you die. Just like those sperms. And at that moment, you entered into the realm of full-fledged hypnosis. Because you had to figure out exactly how to behave and program yourself to please the big lady with the milk. Isn't that right? How many of you are still carrying around your mother's scripts in your head? The biggest hypnotist in the world, Mom. And then comes Dad, and then comes your siblings who pinch you because they want you to leave, and then comes all the other things, the teachers and people programming you, on and on and on. True? But in the essential you, in the core of you, perhaps you came here with a life's purpose. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and if you can distill down the one essential element that is you, that has remained you throughout your life, what one or few words would kind of encapsulate the perfection you are? Are you a helper, a learner, a teacher, a joy bringer, a curious, an inventor, a genius, a silly, a playful? What is the word? Write it down, first word that comes to mind. So now, the beautiful, perfect you is imbued with hypnosis of values. Now, where you were born depends on what you came to value, right? What did your family teach you to value? Isn't that an interesting question? Do you value what they value? I'd like you to think about what you've come to value in life. What is it? Your core self is your essential self. Close your eyes and ask yourself, at my core, what is most important to me? And then ask yourself the next question. Is how I live my life in alignment with my core? Is how I live my life in alignment with my core? So let's hear some core values. Just speak them out. What are some core values that you hold? Happiness, love, connection, peace, compassion, friendship, authenticity, truth, adventure, spouse, relationships, expansion. She likes to have fun at her own expense. Put your hand on your heart. Say these words. I am a tree of integrity.
I am a tree of integrity.
I tend and befriend and embody.
I tend and befriend and embody.
What's important.
What's important.
I tell myself the truth.
I tell myself the truth.
I live my truth.
I live my truth.
I'm honest in my feelings and dealings.
I am honest in my feelings and dealings.
I heed my body.
I heed my body.
When it says yes,
When it says yes,
and when it says no.
and when it says no.
I nurture self-care.
I nurture self-care.
I nurture my core self.
I nurture my core self.
I call upon my innate wisdom
I call upon my innate wisdom
to respect my core.
to respect my core.
Good job. Take a deep breath and just take that in. Let it think in. Let it sink in. You have to ask yourself this question, though. Does what you come to value, does it fit with your core? Did your parents' values match the core values that you now have? Probably not. At least for me, not. I mean, some of it was great, right? Some of it sucked. Okay. I have some core advice for caregivers. Here it is. I do unto others as I would have others do unto me. Hey, I didn't make that one up. I practice what I preach. My core self reminds me to be my best. So that's the core. So now we're down at the next one. We've gone to the values. What values did you download as a child that are helping you now? Write that down. What values did I download as a child that are helping you now? And is what I value in alignment with my core? All right, now we're at the next ring on the tree of me, and that's beliefs. See, beliefs are just a gigantic story that you tell yourself. And then you pull the wool over your own eyes. Once you take on a belief, you get pretty darn stubborn, ladies and gentlemen. And if somebody tells you something that doesn't quite fit with your agenda, your belief, reject, reject, reject. You know, my brother is an alienologist. He is an anthropologist, and I went to a conference to hear him speak. I love my brother, right? He's sitting there with a bunch of alienologists, and they're talking about the origin of the species of humanity. And every one of them has this gigantic story they made up. And then they're arguing with each other. Well, I know I'm right because we came from the Anunnaki. No, we came from the lizards. No, we came. I'm like, I said to my brother, he said, how did you like the conference? I said, really an interesting storytellers conference. I just thought it was terrific. Well, I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, your beliefs are a gigantic story you're making up. And you're really hypnotized by your stories. And if you don't believe me, look at the culture right now with people arguing with each other over which story to believe. But there's only one core truth. And if you'll get down to it, you'll get it. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remembered. It's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but my seeing's better. I can see through my tears, and I know that it's so. You're hip and you gnosis everything. Take a deep breath. You need to ask yourself, not your mother, your father, your friends, your mates, your kids. You need to ask yourself, is what I have come to believe in alignment with my core? That's the question. You see, you have no choice. You have to be you. You have to do yourself perfectly. You can't be someone else because someone else is already taken. You're it. The ball's in your court. And the only thing you are is that core self. You see, your body changed. You know, you were a little nublet. First you were a cell, then you were 2 cells, then you were a baby, then you became a teenager, God help you, and then you got older and you became grown up. But there's something that's remained you. The essence of you has never changed. That's what we're talking about. So, are your beliefs good for your health? Ask yourself that. Are your beliefs about eating good for your health? Are your beliefs about your marijuana good for your health? Are your beliefs about anything good for your health? Is what you believe helping you or harming you? Ask your body, it'll tell you. Your body is very close to the source. Take a deep breath. Is what you think in alignment with your core? Is what you do in alignment with your core? Repeat after me, please. Please. I'm in charge of my beliefs.
I'm in charge of my beliefs.
I achieve what I believe.
I achieve what I believe.
Positive beliefs positively shape me.
Positive beliefs positively shape me.
I cultivate beliefs that serve me best.
I cultivate beliefs that serve me best.
I believe in things for my highest good.
I believe in things for my highest good.
I receive and believe beneficial ideas.
I receive and believe beneficial ideas.
I say cancel to other ones.
I say cancel to other ones.
Now ask yourself this question: are my beliefs in alignment with my core? Take a deep breath. Good question. Good question. Next, we have personality. And by the way, I wrote it all out for you, so you don't even have to take notes. I have this all for you at the end of this talk. Personality. As the caterpillar said, who are you? And Alice said, I don't know, I've been 100 people all day. You're that too. You're a diamond with many facets. There's dozens of you sitting in there. The question is, which subpersonality is going to run your life? That's the question. Now, you also have these one personality. People say, that person's really nice. I like that person. That feels good. But they have this one aspect that makes me crazy. We have different aspects. And that's true for you inside yourself. Put one hand on your shoulder, put your other hand on your other shoulder, give yourself a hug. I love all of me. Even my weird ones. Take a deep breath. I ask all of my subpersonalities to stay in alignment with my core. Good. Personality is really the you that you show the world, right? And I'm sure you have different faces. I remember my mother, who was a screamer. She'd be screaming at us for hours. And the phone would ring, and she'd go, blah, 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 blah. Hello. That was what she showed the world. She forgot she was showing a different world, us, a different person. We have to be in alignment with our subpersonalities to really be in alignment with ourselves. Next one. Next one. Your attitude. How do you come across when you meet people? Do you say, welcome, come in, please join me, I love you, you touch my heart, you touch my soul, I want to know you, do you do that, or do you go, what's in it for me? When you meet, what's in it for me, what do? You back up. You feel icky. That's a scientific word for back off. I teach my students, my clients, I teach them the difference between a truth and a lie is if you feel good or you feel icky. Let's do a little exercise. Think of a lie. Imagine yourself, you're wearing a pink tutu and you're sitting upside down in the chair right now. Imagine that. And where do you feel the lie in your body? I feel it in my jaw. How about you? Speak it out. Where do you feel it? Stomach, okay. Your chest. And solar plexus. See, it's all different for every person. And you're right. You're right. Okay, now, tell the truth. I'm sitting in a chair, or I'm falling over in the chair, or whatever I'm doing in that chair, but I'm in a chair right now and I'm not wearing the pink tutu anymore. Take a deep breath. And where do you feel the truth? Everywhere, here, wherever you feel it. So you have a cybernetic feedback response mechanism called your body. It's always telling you if you're in alignment and telling the truth, or if you're bullying yourself. Right? So there we go. That's your attitude, and it projects out. Attitude projects out much louder than the words you use or the titles you give people. Stand up. Walk around this room with a bad attitude. Don't look at each other. Just kind of walk around a little bit. Have a bad attitude. Just have that attitude. Just have that attitude. Just show that attitude. Okay, freeze. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Take on an attitude of love and walk around this room. Look at those people, those lovers. Look at those lovers. Isn't this what life's about? When a client comes in your office, that's all they're there for, folks. They didn't come there for you to analyze them or give them advice. They came to feel great, just like you're feeling now. They came to be loved and listened to. Take a deep breath. Smile at somebody. That's right, you can sit down. Repeat after me. My attitude takes the high road.
My attitude takes the high road.
See, when you're standing up, you're tickling the higher attitude. I expect my self-respect.
I expect my self-respect.
I have within me everything I need to know what's going on inside of myself and around me. Do you believe me on that one?
Yes.
My attitude is in alignment with my core. Let's see if that's true. Check in. My attitude is in alignment. If it's not, readjust it right now. Because sometimes it isn't. Breathe it. Own it. Good job. So, now we got the whole enchilada. The actions you take are a direct result of how you've been hypnotized in each of these layers. How your values, your beliefs, your personality, your attitude, they all come together. They all coalesce in what you do. Isn't that the truth? So go ahead and count the rings on your belly button. And notice just how aligned you are to your core. And close your eyes now. And repeat after me. My happiness and harmony result from my actions and my reactions. I navigate my road of life. And even the bumps are smooth. I program my mental GPS to move me toward joy and well-being. I step on my exhilarator. Joy is my compass. I slam on the brakes if something's hurtful. And I immediately recalculate. My spirit soars. My spirit drives me free. I am a one of a kind. I am true to my core. And so it is. And so it shall be. Stand up, please. Imagine with me, please, that you are a tree. You're standing tall. You see, when you stand tall, all the neurons that are in your head and all the neurons that go down your spine and all the neurons that go to your second brain in your heart and your third brain in your gut, they're all firing really nicely. And as you stand there as the tree of integrity, smile on yourself. Smile all over yourself. Now reach up, all the way up. If you don't feel a coffin lid, that's a good thing. Reminds you you're alive. And as you're reaching up, you're going to receive a message from the highest power, from the almighty power that surges through every molecule of your body. And that message is a mantra. And it's the only message in town. And we're going to chant it loudly, so loudly that they throw us out of this hotel. Deep breath in. I'm going to start the mantra and you'll join me. Ready? The funnier it gets. The funnier it gets. Your cells remember what your logic forgets. To laugh is to live from the inside out. And that's what ecstasy is all about. I am the light.
I am the light.
I am the laughter.
I am the laughter.
And that's what we all are happily ever after. You can sit down. I can honestly say I love you. Go ahead and say that to somebody next to you. Why are we so stingy in loving each other? Isn't that the most important thing? Why are we so darn stingy? I have my students go out and tell 3 complete strangers every day they love them. And I'll tell you, magic happens. One time, I used to be a stewardess with TWA. 22 years I flew for TWA. I was a hypnotist at the same time. Of course, flight attendants never knew what a hypnotist was. So a flight attendant would know I was a hypnotist, and they'd come over and they'd say, "Would you read my palm?" And I would. And they'd go, "Wow, how did you know that?" And I'd go, years later, I realized I'm a psychic. How many of you are psychic here? How many of you are small mediums at large? How many of you have had in your office a client who suddenly started channeling? Raise your hand high, because I want everyone to see this. Because if you haven't seen this yet in your office, it's going to happen. Do not commit the person. Do not call 911. Sometimes when people open to channel, it's very dramatic. They have the Kundalini awakening, and it can be startling, and that's one of the pass-out materials you'll get. It's very important for you to know this. And if you're honored enough to have a client who's going through the Kundalini awakening, they look like they're having a psychotic break. They may shake from head to toe, they may be speechless, they may be writhing, they may have a very weird countenance. Sit with them, cancel all your appointments, hold them in your arms and rock them. And they will come out transformed. They will have a full-fledged enlightenment experience. How many of you have seen a full-fledged enlightenment experience in your office? Raise your hands high. I want those people to see that haven't had this happen. Don't freak out when it happens. It's very important. I took a group of people on a vision quest in Japan. We were in a Shogun checkpoint place, this ancient building, and I started holotropic breathing with them. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's deep, sustained breathing, and it brings about altered states. Some say it over-oxygenates the body. Some people says, no, it deprives you of oxygen. I don't know which it is. All I know is that when you do the deep breathing, especially to provocative music, you have enlightenment experiences. I start the breathing exercise, and I have simultaneously 3 people going through the Kundalini awakening at one time. I have a large group there. It's a very personal experience. It's weird to watch. I sent the rest of the group to take a walk, which was problematic because there was snow on the ground, but that was all right. They went for their walk, and I had my translators with me, and we rocked these 3 people and let them come back to room awareness, and they were transformed for the better. We had a problem after that. We couldn't find the group in the snow. We didn't know where they were. So we did the only thing a transpersonal specialist would do. We prayed together. And we said, "Dear God, please give us a sign so we can find the group that's out in the snow. Show us the humans." That's what we said. Show us, that was what my translator said. Show us the humans. And a bird flew by, flew around us. And we followed the bird in the snow. And when we got over this horrific hill, we found a guy picking mushrooms up. The bird brought us to a human. Be more specific. If you're going to ask God for something, be specific. Because, you see, this is how I see it. God is a short order fry cook. You walk in, you sit down, and you say, this is what I want. The waiter runs off to the kitchen where God is working their buns off, and they cook up what you ordered. And you get it. If you order somebody to beat you up like Dad did, well, you get that. If you order something like someone to love you, like you deserve, well, you'll get that. God is a short order fry cook, and you're the one placing the order. Now let's take a little journey, shall we? Get for yourself very, very comfortable. Now imagine, if you will, that every breath you take relaxes you a little bit more. Breathe in and look up. And breathe out and look down. Inspiration and relaxation. Breathing in. When you breathe out, let out a nice sound like ah. Again, breathing in. Hold it. Ah. Relaxing more with each easy breath and each beat of your heart and each thought in your mind and each taste in your mouth and each feeling in your body and each energy you perceive takes you deeper and deeper into the center of the core of your own being. That's right. That's good. And now go ahead and rise up from this room and let's go out to the Los Angeles day air. There we are, floating around with multiple particles per inch. And let's go beyond that and go up to the atmosphere where the sky is very clear and everything is so fresh. And now let's go back in time because your cells may remember. Go back in time to you in the 3rd grade. Now, there you are in the 3rd grade. Are you sitting at a desk or a table, or on the floor? Where are you sitting? Is there gum under the desk? Notice what you're wearing or who's near you there in the 3rd grade. You might notice your teacher in the front of the room. That's right. You might even think of their name. There you are in the 3rd grade. Beautiful you. Make a snapshot of it. Click, click. 1/200th of a second, you've taken a picture of you in the 3rd grade. That's right. And now, go back in time. Go back in time to you as a little baby. Oh, there you are. Cute little baby body. Little hands, little feet, little chest, little bottom. That cute little you. You might click, click, take a picture of it, a mental snapshot. You can see it or feel it or intuit it. However you do it is fine. As a matter of fact, you can take snapshots of every single time in your life, and that lets you kind of remember a little more. Take a deep breath and let's go back even farther. Let's go back to your birthing room and let's make sure it's a pleasant experience as you recall it from a distance, and just notice what people are thinking when you're born. Just notice what's going on in the birthing room. Don't censor, analyze, edit, or judge. Just notice. Now take a deep breath again. And let's go back in time to before you entered the egg. Before you entered the egg. That's right. That's good. I'm going to ask you a series of questions now about you before you were ever in physical form. And you'll just think the answer, and then I'll remind you again when you come back to room awareness. But let the answer just pop up and let it come up even if you think you're making it up. Nod your head if you understand that. There you are, before you ever became this body that you're in, and you're alone or with somebody. Just notice. And ask yourself this question: am I choosing to be born? And notice the answer that pops up. Am I choosing to be born? Does somebody or something help me to choose to be born? Whether I choose it or not. And what is my relationship to that being? Or that energy, or that whatever. Do I know my mother from any other place and time? The mother to be. Or is this going to be my first encounter with her? First answer come to mind. Do I know my father from any place in time? If so, where was that? How about my siblings or anyone else that I'm going to meet on this encounter with an earth walk? Take a deep breath. Open your mind, your heart, and your gut to this thought. What is my life's purpose? What am I coming here to do on this earth walk? Just try soft, don't try hard. And breathe. That's right. That's good. Am I choosing to be born at the end of the 20th century, the beginning of the 21st century, for any particular reason? And if so, what is the reason? Am I choosing to be male or female for any particular reason? And if so, what is the reason? That's right. That's good. You're doing so well. Now, very gently, smile on yourself. And coming back slowly now, back into the cosmos and the clear air, and back into Los Angeles air, and back into this room. Taking it easy. Nice breath. Let it out. Smile on yourself. Open your eyes and take your pencil and paper out. And answer these questions with the first thing that comes to mind. And so fine if you make it up. Are you choosing to be born? Yes or no? Does someone or somebody or something help you choose whether you decided to be born or not? What is your relationship to that being or that energy or that whatever? Did you know your mother from another place and time? Or your father, or your siblings, or anyone else? First thing that comes to mind, just write it. Don't think or anything. It's not worth the energy, just write. Did you choose to come here at this time? The end of the 20th century for a particular reason? And if so, what's the reason? Did you choose to be male or female for a reason? If so, what? What's your life's purpose? Good for you. Deep breath. So go ahead now. Pal up with somebody, can be a group of 2 or 3, and just pal up with somebody and share what's come up for you. How am I doing on time? Okay, come back. Come back. Come back, little Sheba. Come back. Come back. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Return to who you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Take a deep breath. Let it out. One hand on your shoulder. One hand on your other shoulder. Big hug. Reverse. Hand on your face. Hand on your face. Reverse. Down your arms. Good job. I'd like you to think about a defining moment in your life. This could be it. I talked to one of you out here a minute ago, and she said, I'm not sure that I remember any of this. I don't know if this is the truth for me. Right. And you only know if it's the truth for you if you know it's the truth for you. That's it. That's the whole enchilada right there. It has to be a defining knowing. When you're doing transpersonal work, there's only one truth in the room, and it's not you, the counselor. See, one of the biggest mistakes hypnotists make is they are very smart. We're all very smart. We really want to help, and we make a difference, right? But most people, not just helpers like us, they spend their entire life looking at themselves in the mirror. They walk through life like this. Glad to meet ya. But a real helper does this. They hold the mirror so that you can reflect on your perfection. They're not in the picture. One of the hardest things I teach my students to do is to not self-reference. I'm going to give you that assignment. I said, I self-referenced. At lunch, see how long you go without self-referencing. Other reference. Your brain's going ding, 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 ding.
You saw that, huh?
It's like a pachinko game in there. I can see it. Defining moments are critical times when you have an enlightenment experience. Enlightenment strikes again and again and again. And when that enlightenment happens to you, you know it. Now, when I was 21, I went to Esalen Institute for the first time, and these people were talking about their enlightenment experiences, and I thought they were speaking Swahili until I had my own. And when you have your own enlightenment experience, it is life-changing. And it doesn't have to be something from holotropic breathing or a class or anything. It can just happen spontaneously. When I spoke to the lady out there a minute ago, and she said she wasn't sure about the truth, I thought of this enlightenment experience. I don't know why, but I just did. I was on a train going to Machu Picchu, Peru. And it was one of those trains that stops every few miles, so they shovel the coal in and pour water in, and then it's a local train. And I'm on this train, and they stop to shovel the coal and pour the water, and it's a very humble train. But I'm here, Shelley from California. You know, I've got my jewelry on. I flew there because I have travel benefits. I'm in Peru, and I'm going to go to Machu Picchu, and I can stay at the nicest hotels, and I am rich. And I look out the window, and there, I'm 25 years old at the time. I look out the window of the train, and there by the side of the tracks is a Peruvian girl. She's about 25 years old. She's holding a baby. She's pregnant, and a little kid in her hand. She's wearing tatters, and we look at each other. We look at each other for a forever minute. You know what I mean by forever minutes? And as we look at each other, I think to myself, how is it that I'm on the train and she's on the side of the train? How did that happen? I can't explain it. I think it's just one big crapshoot. And those of you who are lucky enough to be in this room, wearing nice clothes, having wonderful leadership, enjoying each other's company, you're the privileged ones. And it's just luck. It really is. It's a big crapshoot. Some people say, no, it's karma. Well, I don't think it's necessarily karma. I'm going to ask you a giant question. First of all, say it out loud. Have you lived another lifetime? Yes or no?
Yes.
How many think you've lived another lifetime? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you don't think you ever lived another lifetime? Okay, good. And if you said, I've lived another lifetime, how many lifetimes have you lived? Call it out.
40.
Louder.
46.
Hindus believe in some of the traditions that you have 700 and some lifetimes. I don't know. But you do. Because remember, you're the center of your universe. And what you say is true for you. But it's not true for everyone else. So do not slime everybody with your belief. I met this woman. She was a real expert on spirit attachment. She was real palsy with me. She goes, Shelley, you and I are in this work together. She goes, you know, I had this client. She had like 400 attached entities, and I got rid of all of them. Wow. We went to lunch, and after lunch, she had 300 more. Wow. It reminded me of the story about Daniel Webster, the guy who wrote the dictionary. A woman came in to see him. She goes, Mr. Webster, you put dirty words in your dictionary. And he said, Madam, you've been looking for them. Do not slime people with your belief systems. Because they're the center of their universe and they know everything there is to know about everything. And some of that everything may be not where you've been yet, because there's no wine before it's time. You'll know when you know in defining moments. Another defining moment for me. I'm in a laundromat. I put my clothes in the dryer and it doesn't work. I take my clothes out of the dryer and put it in another dryer, and it works. The lady who runs the laundromat comes over to me. help you, dear? What's going on? I said, well, I took my clothes out of this dryer and I put it into this dryer and now it works. And she said, there is never a dull moment here. And she meant it. That was a defining moment for me. She loved her life. She was queen of the laundromat. Start marking your defining moments, and you'll find your way to the light, and you'll be the light. But remember, one of the most defining moments of your life is your very own existence. Isn't that the truth? Transpersonal hypnosis. It encompasses an entire range of possible babies. Bless you, my love. It encompasses past life regression, future life progression. I've progressed thousands of people to the year 2084. They all have very similar thought forms about it. I wrote a book, Time Travel, about it. Transpersonal hypnosis may take you, this is a trip, to a parallel life. You're sitting here in this room, there may be an anti-deuteron of you somewhere in another galaxy or another in Canada or somewhere, waiting to run into you. A soulmate, maybe. Between life journeys, all in the realm of transpersonal. Entity releasement, but that doesn't mean that I have to believe it. What it means is that if somebody comes to me and says, I've got an icky attached to me, you send it to the light. Because they believe it. And belief is a very powerful hypnotic. But it's all bullshit. And I mean that from my heart and in all the best ways. Everything is a story you're making up and that you're stepping into and believing. Your life is one gigantic story, and you're the storyteller. If you want to be happy, tell yourself a happy story. If you want to be miserable, tell yourself a miserable story. If you want to blame it on the bossa nova, blame it on the bossa nova. But understand you're the storyteller, and you're correct regarding yourself. But you don't know diddly squat about another person. And I mean that from the heart. You can love them without being emotionally involved. Now, I'd like you to find somebody in the room, stand up, and find somebody in the room and send a rainbow bridge from your heart to theirs. Maintaining your integrity. Rainbow bridge, heart to heart. And be perfectly you at the same time. Take a deep breath. This is how to really love without being emotionally involved. Maintain a bubble around yourself, knowing you're perfect just the way you are, knowing that you're a growing, maturing personality with many possible babies. And know that your heart can be open to love even though they are a foreign object. And send that rainbow bridge till your hearts connect. And breathe. I'm proud to be me. And I also see, you're just as proud to be you. We may look at things a bit differently, but lots of good people do. It's just human nature. So why should I hate you for being as human as I? We'll live as we learn.
We'll live as we learn.
And we'll learn as we live.
And we'll learn as we live.
And we'll sure get along if we try.
And we'll sure get along if we try.
Deep breath. Let it out. Smile on yourself. Smile all over yourself. And you can sit down. All right. I see I'm running out of time. But I am into space, so. I'd like to do something particularly weird. If I haven't already. I am a channel. For those of you who have never seen a trance medium, I put myself into a trance and my guide will speak to you. Would you like to meet my guide?
Yes.
All right. I'll tell you how I do it. I have 8 minutes to do this. I start with a prayer. You can repeat the prayer with me. It's a belief system. Bless us on all levels.
Bless us on all levels.
Physically with radiant health.
Physically with radiant health.
Mentally with clear thinking.
Mentally with clear thinking.
Emotionally with unconditional love for ourselves.
Emotionally with unconditional love for ourselves.
Let joy be our compass.
Let joy be our compass.
And if it's not fun, remind us not to do it.
And if it's not fun, remind us not to do it.
Let all these teachings be for our highest good.
Let all these teachings be for our highest good.
And the good of the planet.
And the good of the planet.
Amen.
Amen.
Ah woman.
All woman.
Ah life.
All life.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Hello everybody, nice to see you. My name is Kendra. I am Kindred Kendra for you because I feel that we have a kinship, yes? I like the rainbow bridge she did. I thought that was quite adorable. And I think you are adorable also. Michael, adorable. All adorable. Isn't it interesting how humans forget to adore themselves? They spend a lot of their lifetime learning to adore each other, which is very nice. They spend a lot of their lifetime learning to adore their children. That's very nice. To adore God, that's very nice. But they forget about themselves. Somehow they check themselves out of the formula of joy. And nothing is more exciting than falling madly in love with yourself. I would tell you I am an angel with no wings, but I love myself because I'm an angel with no wings. I chose not to get the wings because I'm a teacher. Different angels have different goals and different dreams, and different ways to manifest themselves in vibrational form. Now that may be hard for some of you to understand because you are currently in a stifling unit called a body. But I have no body. I am just a vibratory force field coming through a vehicle called a channel. Anyone can channel if they choose to, but if you do choose to, some people would think you are strange. It's up to you. You can be strange or not strange, you know? You can, what you call, get even or get weird. And it's up to you. I would happily answer any question anybody has in the room. Anyone have a question? Yes, young lady. Hold on. Yes, young lady.
How long have you been here?
Oh, how long have I been in the room here?
Oh no, in this lifetime, or earth lifetime.
Oh, I'm not an earthbound entity, but I did live on the earth. I was a man named Kandara. I lived in India. I lived at the time that they were building the Taj Mahal, and I was a poet, or what you call philosopher. I had a nice chubby wife. I had 3 chubby children, and I was very happy in India. Yes.
What do you think of the oneness of all things?
The oneness of all things. Well, I say that it is like a multi-celled creature. In other words, it may seem like oneness, but it is made of many entities, many vibrational force fields to create what you call the bigness of oneness. But there really is no exact oneness as a human would think. You think I'm a oneness, yes? Because you're in a structure, you're in a body. But really, you're just part of all the humans which are just in bodies, which are a oneness of humans. But then don't forget their pets. Now you are oneness with humans and pets. Now you are oneness with the creepy crawlies or the flying ones. And now you are one with the planets. And now you are one with the cosmos. And now you are one with the black holes. Very hard to understand oneness because it is particulate. It is made up of so many specific parts that it doesn't really exist in a oneness form. It's very hard to talk about oneness. But I'm talking to you who understands oneness because you're in a body. That's a oneness. Very hard for me to answer that to a human. But I would tell you that where I come from, which is the realms, or what you call the heavens, we do not think in terms of oneness. We just think in terms of harmony.
May I ask you?
Yes, please. Ask out loud, please.
How you meditate daily?
How I what?
Meditate.
How I meditate?
Yes.
Oh, I do not meditate because my whole vibration is that of meditation. And I want to explain that. You see, spirit does it with frequency. That's my bumper sticker. Spirit does it with frequency. But it is just, a spirit is a vibratory energy. And therefore, just by my being an entity that comes through vehicles, through anybody who invite me, my job is to just simply bring vibration. That's the meditation, I guess you would call it. I have a sign that I must leave. Goodbye. Shake your hands, please. Take a nice deep breath. Let it out. Please stand. Hands above your head. The sacred mantra, please.